My problem last year on this trellis was my T-posts were so short that my trellis actually drug the ground. Sometimes you just need more, okay? Sometimes it needs to be longer, sometimes it needs to be taller, sometimes it needs to be bigger. And we just made it bigger, taller, longer. I like it. So I've shown you this trellis in the past. This is a hardened over trellis. I get it from Haas Tools. It's really inexpensive, mainly because you can use it year after year after year. This is third year, I think, for this. I believe I have got one little place where the square, where the plastic square had ripped off, had pulled. And when you start taking your material out here, your vegetation out from the previous year and try to clean it up, sometimes you pull on that thing pretty hard and it gets kind of violent when the vegetation is pretty thick. And it's just been great. Gosh, I mean, it's just been great. But my problem last year on this trellis was the trellis, my T-posts were so short that my trellis actually drug the ground. And when I'm already planting in a planter, in this case earth boxes, that is 13 inches, I think, tall. The plants are sitting on that, so maybe elevated 14 inches or so. The trellis really needs to be a lot higher. So, I don't have any 8-foot T-posts, and they're quite expensive as it is. So, inventive fella that I am, I came up with a solution that has got that hardened over trellis now. Instead of dragging on the ground, the hardened over trellis is right at the tops of these cucumbers. So let me show you what I did, how I did it. It's pretty dadgum easy. So I watched people make trellises out of T-posts and PVC pipe, as well as EMT, the electric metal tubing. So I said, why wouldn't this work on this, extending my T-post up? So what I did was come in here with some PVC extensions, if you will. Come up here on the ends, I've got elbows. On each other of the posts, I have T's. And I'll show you in just a second how these are affixed to the T-post to make sure they don't warble, whatever. But that has worked out great. So I considered 1.25 inches, I think it's 1.25 inches, couplings that slide right down on the top of the T-post, and I could have gone up from there with 1.25 inches. That would have cost a lot of money. I'm frugal and didn't really want to do that. I have got a lot of PVC pipe laying around that used to be, you can see the holes in it, used to be drip irrigation, and I've just got yards and yards and yards of it laying around. Can't use it for anything because it's got holes in it, except this, working great for this. So I took some pieces of PVC about 2 feet long, and I went to my table saw and I ripped out, put a stop on it. I came out here and did some measuring, figured out how high my trellis needed to be to get the bottom of the trellis right there at the top of the earth box. And I think these wound up being 2 feet tall, thereabouts. And I just went and ripped a groove in it on my table saw. You could probably do this maybe with a hand saw. And that just slid around, and that groove just slid right down in there. I had to kind of pound it in from the top and just slid right down, groove sliding right down into that T-post right there. So I had to kind of tap it down in there, pound it in there a little bit with a rubber mallet. Didn't want to break it or hurt it. And this groove, this has got a groove right there. Whether you can see that, that's the ending of the groove right there. And it just slid right down on there, just slicker and snot. I put this wire around it, pulled it tight. I probably could have used, it was pretty tight anyway, but I didn't want to take a chance. I could have used some cable ties. I cable tied my hardened over trellis to the post, but I could have used cable ties here too, maybe 2 of them. That would have been fine. I put elbows on the ends. I put T's on all my middle T-posts. I have a T-post in between each of these earth boxes. Finishes up here. Again, got everything tied off real nicely. It just didn't take hardly any time to fix this up. And now I've got a trellis that is about 2 feet taller than it was last year. It's about 7 feet tall. But it worked out great for me. I just wanted to show you my trellis, my improvised taller trellis. Sometimes you just need more, okay? Sometimes it needs to be longer, sometimes it needs to be taller, sometimes it needs to be bigger. And we just made it bigger, taller, longer. I like it. A good way, I think, to extend your T-posts up so you don't have to buy the expensive 8 foot, 10 foot, whatever they come in. I know there's some 8 footers and they're expensive. Just regular T-posts has gotten ridiculous. So a good way to do it. Now, you know, if you were wanting to deer fence an area, you could use this hardened over trellis, I believe, for that. And this might get you above the deer jump line. 8 feet or so, you might have to go a little bit longer on your supports, on your uprights, your pieces there. But a deer, an 8 foot fence is supposedly a deer-proof fence. I think that's the norm. It would be an 8 foot fence. So it could very well be you could put this around your garden and keep the deer out of it like that. Pretty dadgum cheap. Again, hardened over trellis from Hoss Tools. I'll have my associate link to Hoss below, and you can look at the hardened over trellis there. And again, it's not expensive at all. You can buy it in 2 or 3 different lengths. I think I got a 150 foot roll when I got mine. So here it is. I think it looks good, and I know it is absolutely performing just like I thought it might. So success. I like it when there's successes. I've had enough failures in my life that I love to see a success. You're probably the same way. All right, I believe we're dadgum gone. We're through looking at trellises now. We're gonna let the trellis go to work, do its thing, do what it's supposed to do. All right, we're gone.